Hey guys, welcome back to Jessin Reads Romance. I'm Jessin, and today I'm doing another weekly wrap up. I know it's been a while since I've done my last one, but that's because I moved apartments. So I had a lot going on, and though I really wanted to sit down and talk about the books that I was squeezing in, I just didn't have the time to actually do it while I was moving. So we're gonna get down to the nitty gritty and start with Dustwalker by Tiffany Roberts. Now, Jen from the Book Refuge is hosting an author chat on her channel in January, and she invited me and Avery to be on it as well. So we're actually gonna talk to Tiffany Roberts, and they are a writing duo. So I'm really excited about that. I decided to go into their backlist and see what else interests me because I've read quite a few of their books. Their Spiders Mate romance series is like my favorite. I can't wait for the third one. And I picked up Dustwalker because it looked really cool, looked post-apocalyptic, had like a guy with like robot parts sticking out of his skin, and I thought it was really cool. The hero Ronan is a robot, and there has been an apocalypse, but the thing about it is nobody really knows what happened. There's no real documentation about what was the thing that made the world pretty much end. Lots of robots are really sentient, and actually our heroine, Laura, she has definitely had some traumatic experiences associated with these robots who look completely human on the outside. So Laura's living outside of this robot community because they basically took over the town, and all the humans are pretty much struggling to survive. There's not enough water, there's not enough food, it's just a real struggle. And she reminds me a lot of Rey from the newest Star Wars trilogy, because she scavenges in the desert for trinkets that she can exchange for credits so that she can hopefully feed herself. So it had a lot of the same vibes like that. But she has a sister who has gone missing. She cannot find her sister, but she's also unwilling to go into the robot town because she doesn't want to associate with any robots. Then we have our hero Ronan, and what he does is he actually wanders like very far, and he's basically lives a nomadic lifestyle. Since he is a robot, he doesn't need like sustenance to keep going, so he's able to traverse the desert without needing like water or food, and he finds really great scavenged items to exchange for lots of credits. And he's decided to bunk in this town for a little while, but he comes across Laura at one of her, I almost want to say it's like a breaking point for her because she is struggling so bad. There's this other human in the town who he's well off more so than anybody else in the human community. And he kind of offers for her to be his mistress, for her to be taken care of and not struggle anymore. And she's refusing. When she was digging through the rubble, she found this ring and she's like, oh my gosh, this is going to be worth so many credits. But she accidentally trips and it falls down a drain. And so she's just like, this is just crazy. This is just, of course, this is my life. One good thing, and I can't have that one good thing. And Ronan's like walking, and he does see her by the drain. He doesn't know what she's doing or anything, and he sees her dancing and loves the way that she moves. There's just something very organic about the way that she dances, and he loves that and wants to offer her his services in exchange for her dancing for him. And she's just like, no, I'm not becoming a robot whore because that's just not anything that I'm ever willing to do. I've had one experience with a robot and I never want to repeat that again. But Ronan is actually really respectful, and he's just like, I promise, like he's laying out the terms. He's like, I don't want sexual relations with you. Like I literally just want you to dance. And eventually they come to an agreement that he's going to help her find her sister who's missing. And in turn, she will live with him in his house that they have rented out to him in the robot community, and she will be taken care of. And when she gets to his house, like this house has running water. When she goes in the bathroom, she doesn't even know what a toilet is. She doesn't even know how a shower works. And these are houses in the robot community. They don't even need any of these amenities, and the humans are stuck outside, not able to have access to any of these things. And so it's like really crazy, and it's like, what's going on? There's sort of a robot villain in the town who's kind of like leading all the other ones, and it's just very, very interesting. So of course it's like kind of a little bit adventurous, and I really love their relationship. I love Ronan and Laura's relationship, especially since she's so anti-robot. He has so many great lines where Laura struggles with seeing the robots as anything other than something like synthetic. They don't have emotions, they don't have a beating heart, you know? And Ronan challenges what she thinks about them because he obviously is experiencing emotion. He obviously feels and he's hurt deeply. And I love how she has to accept that. And it's just really, really great. So I enjoyed this book a lot. I did feel like it was a little bit long, so I gave it 4 stars, but the epilogue at the end, it was just so perfect and I loved it so much and I cried a little bit and it was just really beautiful. So I really enjoyed that one. Next, I read Smash and Grab by Maz Maddox. I've never read anything by Maz Maddox before, but Nalika from Libra Lady on Instagram, she said that I would like this. She like directly called me. She was like, you need to read this series. It's dinosaur shifters. And I was like, okay, I'll do that. So it's been sitting on my Kindle for a while and I was just like, I am in the mood for something just like crazy again. It starts with our hero, our human hero, Simon, and he works at this museum. There was this archaeological find, this egg with like a perfectly preserved dinosaur like hatching out of it, and he's working on it to uncover it, like separate the rock that it's been like buried in from the actual shell. It's very like tedious but delicate work. And one night while he's working late, he's obsessed with this, there's a robbery. So there's this group of people who want that egg specifically because it was featured in like the National Geographic magazine, and Simon's unwilling to give up the egg, obviously. And just when it seems like Simon's life is in danger, like they're gonna have this egg, and this random pink mohawk wearing dude wielding a bat comes in and like knocks all these people out and basically says like, you're coming with me, Simon. So this is our hero, our dinosaur shifter, Dalton, and he has like such exuberance to his character. He reminds me of like a high energy dog, like a golden retriever. Like he's just like very high energy. He thinks Simon's super cute, and he kind of makes the last minute executive decision to bring Simon with him because he works with other secret dinosaur shifters to make sure that their history is preserved, and he knows of the group that is trying to actually steal this egg, this fossil. So he anticipated them and he's gonna go take the egg first, bring it back to their headquarters in Texas, and then make sure that it goes where it needs to go. And taking Simon with him is not part of the plan, but he does it anyway. And so it's like a road trip. They have to go from New York to Texas, so it's a very long drive. And I really love it because he's teasing Simon all the time. Simon he has never been with a man before. He's always dated women, but he really doesn't have any time. And like all of his friends are paired up now, so he just like focuses on his work and stuff. And slowly that attraction to Dalton starts coming through, and I really love it. I think it's really sweet. Like Dalton does pressure him a little bit, but in like a good teasing way, and it was just really adorable. And honestly, I had the best time reading this one. It's a very short read and it flew by. I loved it so much. And of course we meet Dalton's associates and they're all dinosaur shifters, and I really like it because Simon was like guessing which type of dinosaur his friends were, based on where they were like discovered, where they had awakened. And what's really cool too is he's not just like a dinosaur shifter. He can like shift into other things as well. Like he's always a Utah raptor. That's like the type of dinosaur that he is, but he doesn't necessarily have to shift into human form. Like I think one time he said he shifted into like a bug, you know? And he's actually had other human forms other than the pink mohawk bat wielding form that he's currently wearing. And I just really like it. I thought it was very unique. I haven't read any other book like this before. So I gave this one 5 stars. Then I read Homecoming King by Penny Reed. This was on my December TBR list. Actually, she was supposed to publish this book last December, but she wasn't quite done with it, so she decided, since it's really not that holiday now that I think about it. I mean, like they do have like a Christmas scene, but they also have, it's like starts around October. There's Thanksgiving as well. So anyway, sorry about the light. It's just in and out. I like natural light and sometimes you have to deal with the clouds. But it's not necessarily Christmassy, even though the book cover looks like an ugly Christmas sweater. Like it's a cute cover, but like a ugly Christmas sweater. You know what I'm saying? Anyway, so our heroine Abby is a bartender and she was married to this guy. She was very young. She was about 18 years old. And we find out that this guy married her and then got busted for fraud. And she, since she was married to him, had to pay back a percentage. Even though she wasn't involved, she's still responsible for 10% of what he owes. Like he went to jail. Abby didn't have to go to jail, but she is in a lot of debt because of her husband, who really kind of took advantage of her situation because she really didn't have family anymore. She was alone and kind of like a perfect target for somebody who is up to no good. Abby's finally getting really close to paying off all of her debt, and her high school, not only her high school, her elementary, junior high, and high school crush walks into the door, doesn't recognize her, okay? And she's trying to play it cool when Rex sits at the bar and talks to her, and she's like, oh my gosh, I just took his order and I didn't act weird at all, because she's thinking back to all the times in high school where she could like barely talk to him. And he actually has an aunt, Sally, who was like head of like the Girl Scouts, whatever, and she joined just so that she could go to his aunt's house and hopefully have a sneak peek of Rex. Never did want to talk to him, but still to be around him and stuff. It was like a cute little crush. So she's like, wow, I haven't seen him in years, but I do know that he's an NFL star, and wow, this is crazy. Eventually, he's like, do I know you from somewhere? And she's like, yeah, we never really talked, but we did go to high school, you know. And they actually find out that they have a mutual friend that they're both friendly with. And one of the things that I thought was really weird about this book, so they're both from small town Texas. I forgot even the town that it starts with an A that they were from. But Abby had moved to Austin, and that's where the bar is. But there's so many people. Once they start like talking about the people that they graduated with, and once they start going to weddings, like this is like wedding season apparently, there's so many weddings to go to. So many of their classmates were uber successful because their mutual friend is a movie star. And it's just really funny. It's just really funny how many extremely successful people came out of this small town, this very small town high school. Anyway, I digress. That was just like a little nitpick for me. Long story short, Rex gets wasted at the bar, and Abby is like, I only served him 2 beers. Oh no, he must have been drunk before he even came in. Usually I'm really good at telling when a patron's already too drunk and doesn't need any more, and I won't give them alcohol because I feel responsible for them. But like, I was so starstruck when he walked in, I didn't even notice that he was drunk before. And while he's drunk, he says something to the effect of like, his nickname in NFL is Training Wheels, and it used to be because he was like good at training the new recruits, but then it turned into Training Wheels because every woman that he dated went on to marry one of his friends. Like, he was the person that they dated right before they met the love of their life, and they kind of like to tease him about it. And so he's kind of like, you know, it's never me. I'm not the one that gets married. I'm the one that they date before they get married. And Abby feels bad for him and takes him to her apartment because she's like, you can't drive. I don't know where you're going. He says he doesn't want to go to his dad's house. So what do? Bring him to my apartment. He wakes up and he thinks that maybe they did something. Maybe they slept together, and he's used to people wanting to take advantage of him because he's an NFL star. And once he finds out that Abby didn't do a thing, and actually she was afraid to touch him in an inappropriate way, and she wore oven mitts to undress him, and he thinks it's so adorable, and he's like, you know what? I could use you for something. Would you want to be my fake fiance? And actually, maybe we could get married. So this is a marriage of convenience trope where Rex is like, I can pay you to be my fake wife, and the media will stop focusing on me dating people, and they're like, oh, which friend is she gonna marry now or whatever. He just doesn't want that attention. And eventually Abby does agree. This is a way for her to finally be debt free, and also to pay back her friend who also owns the bar and helped her out of tight situations before. And so she's just like, this is an opportunity that I could really use. So it is a marriage of convenience trope. I really love Rex. The whole book is told through Abby's point of view. I really loved Rex. I thought he was super endearing. I loved him. But the plot of this book, the way that this plot flowed was weird. I felt like that there was something that happened towards like the first half of the book, and it almost felt like what happened then needed to be the third act conflict. Because I was waiting for it to be brought up again, and it never was. There were some storylines that not storylines, there were some questions that were raised that I feel like never got answered. It's all spoilery stuff, but in general, I was kind of disappointed with this book. I also thought that the heroine Abby was like a lot of the heroines that I've read from Penny Reed, and not that she writes like the same character over and over again, but she does love to create characters who are uber quirky. A lot of them love to knit. Abby is no exception. She really loves to knit. She's very like awkward at social interactions and stuff, and that's a lot of what Penny Reed likes to bring to her characters. But I feel like before, characters that I've read from her before, they were quirky in different ways, but this one felt like I've read this type of character from her before, and she kind of just sounded the same. So I wasn't loving Abby's character that much. I also didn't love her insistence that she was like misinterpreting signals that Rex was giving out. And she was just like, no, no. And she was in denial for way too long. And I hated that she kept saying the phrase, this is too good to be true. He is too good to be true. It was just so annoying. At a certain point, I was like, you need to move on from this in order for this to be like a believable, satisfying relationship for me. So yeah, I gave this book 3.5 stars and I was very disappointed in it in the end. Especially the end. The second half of the book just fell apart for me. I was just like, what are we doing? I'm a little bit bored and I don't understand why this particular scene was chosen towards the end. Like it felt very weird. It felt very messy. So I didn't enjoy Homecoming King, I will say. And I feel bad because I did like Rex. Then I reread There Are No Saints because we're going to review that in January. This is Juliet's first time reading There Are No Saints, and I really enjoyed it the second time around because I mean, it's not very often that I really enjoy serial killer romances, and I think Sophie Lark did a really good job with Cole being the serial killer and Mara being the girl that just gets roped into this game between Cole and his rival in the art world. Not really, they don't like go after the same type of targets at all, but there's this whole thing where his rival Shaw wants Cole to admit that they're the same, that Shaw is just as good as Cole, that Cole is just as out of control as Shaw, and that's where Mara comes into play. And I really love Mara's character. She is knock me down, I'm going to get right back up. That's her character, and she's so strong, and I just love how she challenges Cole. So that was really good. Again, that was a 5-star read for me. Then I read Western Ways by Brittany C. Cherry. This is the third book in her Compass series, and all of them are like connected. We do see the hero Damien at the end of Eastern Lights, which was the previous book. He was in the foster care system, and at the end of Eastern Lights they finally were like, we found your birth dad, but he died. He died, so he travels to California because he's from New York. He travels to California and he shows up at the funeral, and there's this girl that he has an interaction with at the coffee shop before he even gets to the funeral home, and her name is Stella. And Stella wants to buy this blueberry scone, and there's only one left, and he actually buys it, and he's such a jerk because she's like offering, she's like, that's my blueberry scone, can I please have that one? And she gets really irrational about it when Damien will not let her have the scone and buys it and walks off. And it's just like a crazy situation. But then we find out that Stella's just lost somebody very close to her, and it was a tradition that every Saturday morning they would have a blueberry scone. Lo and behold, Damien's father is Stella's father figure who basically raised Stella. And I really like this setup. There is a clause in the will, another marriage of convenience trope. There's a clause in the will that he wants to leave all of his like estate and the majority of his money to Damien and Stella, but they have to be married for a year. And if they don't do this, then his ex-wives, he has 3 ex-wives who are like the wicked witches of the freaking West. They are horrible people. They are superficial, they're greedy, they're just disgusting, and they did not treat Stella well at all. They will get all the money. So Stella absolutely does not want her stepmothers to get this money. But also she's in a relationship. She's been with him for a long time. And it's actually her boyfriend that convinces her, hey, we could really use this money. So yeah, you have to marry that dude. It has to be a real marriage and you have to marry that dude. It's only for a year and I don't mind at all. Her boyfriend's disgusting. I don't like him at all. The reason why Damien agrees to it is because the lawyer told Damien when he was like, this is a joke, I'm not doing this. The lawyer took him aside and basically said, if you do this, you'll get a letter telling you who your birth mother is. And your birth mother is one of the 3 women who were there for the will reading, one of the 3 wicked stepmothers. So he for sure wants to know who his mother was. He's a very successful man now, but there's some part of him that just wants to know why. Why was he given up? Why did he have to go through the foster system? All the flashback scenes are very short. I didn't mind any of the flashbacks that Brittany C. Cherry included. They really gave me a deeper insight into their characters, how they grew up, what struggles they both went through, and why they turned out like they did. And Damien's flashbacks just like broke my heart, of him going from foster home to foster home, thinking that this was the one, and then being given back. Like I could cry. And then Stella Stella having such an amazing father figure who was her mother's best friend. And when Stella's mother died, he, Damien's father, took Stella in and insisted that the stepmothers like treat her like a daughter. But of course, when he wasn't there, they were wicked and terrible to her, telling her awful things about her weight, about how she dressed, about how she acted, and you could see like there's a lot of jealousy going on with that. But anyway, I really love this one and I gave it 4.5 stars. And then finally, I read His Darkest Craving by Tiffany Roberts. It's another short one, and Jen told me that she read it and she liked it. This is about Sophie. I feel like I'm reading a lot of characters who had past traumas. So Sophie was married to this guy, and it kind of like reminds me of that Nicholas Sparks movie. I haven't read any of his books, but Safe Harbor with Julianne Hough. She escapes an abusive situation where she could have totally died if she stayed with him for any longer. She escapes to this cabin in the woods that she's renting, and actually it's her neighbor who was her friend that helped her out. Because she actually like bought the cabin and is renting it out to Sophie so that her husband cannot trace her. And when she gets there, she has this feeling. She used to write and her husband did not want her to write anymore. So she's trying to get into the zone. It's very quiet. It's very isolating. And she's thinking that she feels eyes on her, but she's like, this is just the residual effects of living with somebody who is so controlling, and I just feel like he's still there. So what she's actually feeling is a creature from the forest. So our hero's name is Cruz, and he's like the lord of this forest. He's a very ancient being, and he was cursed by a fae queen to be tied to that forest and basically have this like misty form. He's not really substantial, like he doesn't have a physical body, like she wouldn't be able to like touch him, but he's kind of fascinated by Sophie. There's something about her that really like calls to him and pulls him towards her cabin, and so he's always watching her, and that's actually what she's feeling. So this was like, it had like a little bit of a creepy factor, but also kind of like a cute factor. Because Cruz started to become very protective of Sophie. He was overhearing her conversations. She was calling her neighbor, letting her know that she made it okay. And she likes to check with her neighbor to see if her husband's still at the house across the street, because she like moved cross country secretly. And she just wants to make sure, it makes her feel safe when her friend says, I see him across the street. He's nowhere near you. You're safe. And that's how they start to fall in love. And I really like it because on Halloween, he actually has one night to be like a substantial body, and he wants Sophie really bad. This is a quick and steamy little romance. I really enjoyed it. I thought it was really fun. So I give this one 4.5 stars. And now I'm in the middle of like 3 other books. I don't know what I'm in the mood for right now. So I'm just like dipping my toes into a bunch of different books and seeing which one will make it stick. So that's what I have planned today, is try to find a book that really like grabs my attention so that I can get back on track with reading and hopefully catch up with all the videos that I wanted to film for December and I haven't had time to film. I can't believe it's almost Christmas. It's kind of insane. I still have a couple things to do, and then tomorrow I'm going to be baking cookies with my family, so that's pretty exciting. I love baking Christmas cookies. They're so much fun. I'm not like an expert at it, but it's just fun to do it. Alright guys, if you like this video, give it a big thumbs up, and if you're not already subscribed to my channel, make sure you subscribe to get notified on any future videos that I do. Thank you so much for watching, and remember, life's better with little HEA. Bye guys.